Welcome to Primetime Analysis. I am your host, Victor Onyango. Now, first of all, before I begin anything, let me thank each and every one of you for taking time to support us in this journey. I must say that you've been very supportive, and most of you have talked to me in the 2 days that I was away, and you've called to know my whereabouts, and I'm very much grateful for that. First of all, let me recognize Joash Mbugwa from USA for the great support that you've given this channel. I also want to thank Kevin Oduor from The Bold for the support he's been giving us for the past few days. We know we shall grow together and we shall be great in future. Betrayal in the city. That was the term that Raila Odinga used yesterday in the Kamkunji rally to describe the passage of Finance Bill 2023 by the Kenya Kwanza regime and some of the Azimio MPs who decided to support the government. Now, the other day when I gave an analysis on what we anticipate that Raila Odinga will do, I told you that Raila Odinga had at least 4 options which he would use to talk to Kenyans and engage them in the coming dialogue that he had promised. But one thing that he did yesterday is that he went further and expanded his call to Kenyans to decide on different ways through which they could engage with the government. In this analysis, I want us to look at the 4 points that Raila Odinga made that have the potential of defining Kenya's political landscape going forward. Raila Odinga made a passionate call to Kenyans to join him and join hands in opposing this regime. Before we begin, let me also take this point to tell those of our watchers who have not subscribed, please take a second or two to subscribe to our channel and also give us a thumbs up at the end of the video. For those who have joined us, we thank you for the support because your support has made us reach where we are. Now, there are 4 main points that I came out with when I watched that rally that Raila Odinga held at Kamkunji. And one of the main issues that I got from Raila Odinga is that he realized that members of parliament can never be depended on. And in this one, the first thing he did was to call out members of parliament as betrayers. And the thing he went ahead to do is to tell Kenyans to gang against members of parliament. Listen to what he said.
Dear Kenyans, last week we were betrayed in this city. Our representatives conspired with an executive and abandoned us at our hour of need by voting for the punitive Finance Bill 2023. Yesterday, Mr. William Ruto endorsed this betrayal by signing the Finance Bill into law. We did everything that could be done to have Ruto listen to us and avert the confrontation over taxes. We petitioned the authorities and institutions. We demonstrated. We prayed in the house of worship. We begged to be heard. We sought amendments and we pleaded with the members of parliament to stand up for us. Our petitions were thrown to the dustbin by Ruto's tyrannical hands. He slighted our pleas and violently dispatched our petitioners. Effective next week, therefore, fuel taxes rises from 8% to 16%. We will pay housing tax whether we need a house or not. The cost of basic goods, which has been weighing Kenyans down, is going up from next week again. At a time like this, silence would be a betrayal to the country. Silence would be treason. We cannot be a nation of people who, having eyes, refuse to see, and having ears, refuse to hear. We have suffered a cruel betrayal of our trust and confidence in the ability of our representatives to protect us. We must punish the traitors. And we must force a repeal of the Finance Act.
Now, this call by Raila Odinga is meant to achieve two things. First, we know that there are those MPs that had defected from ODM and also those who have defected from Azimio. The reason why Raila Odinga is calling for the public to turn against members of parliament is that he wants that comes to be a lesson to any Azimio member, so that in future, if there is a serious bill that is brought to parliament, they can stand and stick to their guns and support the party position that has been proposed by Azimio. The second thing is that this is a warning to those who have been going against the grain, where they do not want to follow or toe the line that Azimio has given them. Especially this is targeting the Azimio members of parliament who rebelled against the party position. We know that in 2027 we shall have elections. And this call is there to target these people and to also threaten any other member of parliament who might want to go against what party has decided. Therefore, I think the two reasons why Raila Odinga is calling us to go against members of parliament and call them and shame them wherever they are is, first of all, to have and maintain control of members of parliament. This is to whip them to always toe party position. The next one is to also threaten any who can be thinking to get out of Azimio or turn against party position, that they are having a mile to go or that they will have a hard time defending themselves in 2027 elections. The second issue here is that Raila Odinga called for civil disobedience. Historically, civil disobedience has been a tool that has been used by public to fight against oppressive regimes. Raila Odinga has seen the kind of oppressive rules that William Ruto is imposing on Kenyans. And one thing that he wants to do, he wants to awaken the conscience of the nation and to make everyone and every citizen accountable through engaging in civil disobedience. You remember the call he said, instead of having to board matatus to go to work, we are supposed to carpool or to walk where possible. Employers are told to facilitate their employees and give them time to go and walk to work. While this can have some economic ramifications, and I know many employers might not want to implement this, this is a way through which Raila Odinga is awakening the public conscience towards understanding their rights and how they can hold their government accountable. Listen to this clip and hear what he said.
There's no other option left. We must fight. We are going to fight everywhere and anywhere until the Finance Act is repealed. We will adopt a series of acts of civil disobedience to force this regime to recognize that we, the people, are supreme. Through civil disobedience, we will deny Ruto the taxes he thinks he can extort from us by force. Here, therefore, are my requests to you, my people of Kenya. Let us embrace tax boycotts. Let us deny Ruto the fuel tax by limiting consumption of petrol and diesel. One way to do this is to carpool. Let us arrange to make regular journeys in a single vehicle whenever possible. Give each other a ride. Cut down on non-essential travel. Walk instead of driving whenever possible. I appeal to all employers to allow their workers time to walk to and from work. I appeal to matatu owners to support tax boycotts. While observing safety measures, maintain the current fare but double your carrying capacity as part of the civil disobedience. Our police officers should support our call by allowing matatus to carry above capacity at current costs so that Kenyans can commute.
Now, if you've listened to that clip, I want to explain to you the reason why Raila Odinga made that call. You know that in most public engagements and public demonstrations that have been done previously, the government has categorized them as illegal activities. Another thing we know is that the government has considered that that has been a Luo affair or a tribal affair. So in these public demonstrations or civil disobedience that Raila Odinga is proposing, he wants to make it people-centered. In short, Raila Odinga is telling you that it is time for me to take a back seat and let you Kenyans go forward. In the other analysis that I said, where I talked about Raila's changed tact, I told you that Raila Odinga is going to let Kenyans feel the pinch and the pain of this government. And then it is upon them to decide what they will do with this government. So Raila Odinga has seen it right that Kenyans must now not depend on him, but get out by themselves and oppose the regime. If you look at it, he has told Kenyans, I have served you for quite some time. Many have called me names, and it is now the right time for you as Kenyans to fight for your rights. And I think that is a good thing because we are now moving away from people-centered political activities where we have personality cults, where we could say that people are going to do this because of Raila Odinga, or some people are doing this because of this tribe or that tribe. But because this pain is felt by Kenyans collectively, it is our collective agenda to ensure that we go against this regime. So that is the reason why Raila Odinga has called for that civil disobedience. When you had Wamalwa, CS Wamalwa read the resolutions of that meeting, the common phrase that they use is that we the people. That was also a significant statement that was made. We the people is entrenching Article 1 of the Constitution, where we say that all sovereign powers belong to the people. And these sovereign powers can be exercised directly or indirectly. When Raila Odinga read the statement, and you can listen to it, he said that we have trusted elected leaders to exercise these powers, but they have not done it in what we want. And he has said that an oppressive regime cannot decide for Kenyans what they want and what they feel is right. Listen to the clip and hear what he said.
It is wrong. It is cruel. It is evil. The question we must ask ourselves is, can a leader mean well for the people than the people do for themselves? The answer is no. Kenyans must not trust that insider smile that Ruto wears. It is betrayer's kiss. If Ruto meant well, he would have listened to the people. He did not, and now we must fight. Fellow Kenyans, comrades, a regime that has so blatantly ignored and betrayed us does not deserve our delegated power. We are taking back our sovereign power. We are going to the trenches ourselves to fight for ourselves. This regime does not deserve our obedience. We have no obligation to work for the success of a regime that has no interest in our success. We are the people.
Now, by that statement that Raila Odinga has just made, you will realize one thing. Raila Odinga is continuing to awaken the conscience of Kenyans. He is telling Kenyans that you have certain rights and responsibilities that have been given to you by this constitution. And therefore, you are supposed to know these rights. And you are also supposed to know when to use them. I am using this opportunity to give you a platform so that you can exercise your powers directly. Raila Odinga is bypassing the executive, where the president claims he was elected. is also bypassing the parliament, because one thing he has realized, that even with the number of parliaments, even with the number of members of parliament that he has, he cannot make a significant change to these government's plans. And that is why they have also said they are not going to accept calls for bipartisan talks. Why? If they continue the bipartisan talks and they make proposals, and these proposals are supposed to be taken to the parliament so that they are passed by parliament, Kenya Council will have an upper hand because they have the ability to marshal up their numbers and vote against such resolutions. And therefore, as they said, bipartisan talks is not the right avenue for addressing Kenyans' problems, but by public engagement, public demonstrations, and civil disobedience. That is another reason and another statement that Raila made that remains significant and can define our political future going forward. The fourth and the most significant call that Raila Odinga did is call for the Kenyans on Twitter and social media engagements, where you realize that of late, if you have been keen, you will realize that Raila Odinga has been posting certain things that Kenyans have made. For instance, you know the public ridicule that Ruto has been getting about the promises that he made. And Raila Odinga is calling for Kenyans online. People like KOT, come and let's call out this regime. Come and let's call out the excesses that this regime has been doing.
Dear Kenyans, I'm coming. We know the men and women who visit this unjust law on us. Punish the traitors. Let us name, shame, follow, and isolate the traitors at every turn. Let us picket their public and private offices and their homes until they join the call to have the Finance Act repealed. Today, and with absolute respect and humility, I'm reaching out to the online community in the country and diaspora, the famous Kenyans on Twitter, the content creators and the TikTokers. I have a request to you. Let us gather and share information about the traitors, their Twitter and other social media accounts, telephone numbers, and email addresses, and use this to show the oppressors that power belongs to us, the people. Finally, I appeal to our performing artists. Let our songs and music be a source of pain to the traitors. Let our songs and music a source of pain to the traitors. Let our music carry our disappointments and support the fight against Ruto and his contemporaries until Ruto learns to respect the people. Dear Kenyans, in a democratic country that is founded upon sovereignty of the people, whenever the arms of government, whether the executive, the legislature, or the judiciary, fall into the hands of men and women who use their delegated sovereign power to oppress the people and benefit themselves, then it becomes a right and a duty of the people, in pursuit of the common good, to assert their sovereignty, to disobey those men and women and their laws. We are asserting our sovereignty. Civil disobedience begins with personal actions. We begin today